Come and gather round the cauldron fire. I would like to tell you a little story. A very true story. Yes, a very true story. Once upon a time, many years ago, I lived in a little bitty town called Beamsville, Ohio. And this town was very small. It had a graveyard and a church. And one street in town that crossed the main country road that I lived on. A string of houses built by the government in the early 1970s, selling them to the men who worked those rough, long hours at the factories. I was young, about 6 years old. We lived in a little brick ranch home that bordered a creek and another house and a cornfield. And if you follow this road on down, you'll come to an old abandoned farm at a crook in the road. And if you keep going just a little ways, you'll come to Werewolf Bridge. Now, there are many werewolf bridges across the United States, but this werewolf bridge is the official werewolf bridge. Our dad used to take us in his hot rod down there every Halloween. They'd have dummies hanging all along the rafters in the bridge. It was one of those that, it was a metal bridge that wasn't fully covered. And it crossed a creek that went behind my house. And he'd take us down there and he'd shut the lights off in the car and he'd say, "Blah," and he'd scare us until we'd laugh and pee our pants. Now, for many years, I used that as an excuse for what I saw. But you cannot unsee what you see, right? I was laying in my bed one cold winter night. And we had bunk beds, my sister and I. And our bunk bed sat across the wall that was to the east of the house. And my window, which was facing south towards the road. I awoke one night in my bed, and before I could move, my eyes caught the thing in the window. The thing was tall and hunched over and breathing against my glass. I could see by the outline that it was fur. It was not human. And when the fog cleared from its breath, I could see that it had a snout. I lay frozen in my bed. Oh, I thought I was going to pee my pants, and I didn't care. As long as he couldn't smell it, and he couldn't see me breathing, and he couldn't see that I saw him. I had my holly hobby blanket pulled up to my nose, and I didn't breathe once. I held my breath, and I lay so still in that bed and I did not move. I did not move. I just looked at him through the slits of my eyes, pretending to be asleep, as his breath fogged the window about 4 or 5 times. And I must have dozed off, because when I opened my eyes again, it was daylight, and I still had the covers pulled up to my nose, and I was still laying in the position that I was in when I awoke and I saw him. And I had to pee so bad that I didn't make it to the toilet. And I told my mother, and she said, "You probably had a nightmare." It was no nightmare. That was 40 years ago. I will never, ever, ever forget the terror that overcame me that night. And whatever force knocked me unconscious so that that thing couldn't see me, well, that had to be divine intervention, because I'm here to talk about it today. And I'll never forget what I saw. And I've thought this story in my head several times. I thought about it when I was in my teens. I thought about it when I was in my 20s. And I've thought about it in my 30s and 40s. And the story is always the same. And though I would like to think that the little trips to the bridge on Halloween scared me, this was a different kind of scare. This was sure terror. And in that same little town, my mom and I went driving around one time. She was drinking. Well, I had to pee, so she pulls over to the side of the road. She had to pee too. She wasn't quite as modest as I at the time. She was done and back in the car. I was still down into the ditch pretty good, down by a tree. And I squatted to pee. And as my stream came, I looked over to the left because I thought I seen movement. But it was just a little rabbit. And I looked to the right as I went to wipe myself. And what do you think I saw? A horse laying down, sort of. Not really laying down on its side, but laying with its legs curled around it. I thought it strange, a horse to have its legs curled around it. And as my eyes moved up to the head of the horse, I was shocked. I was terrified. I drip-dried the rest of the way, and I hurried my pants over my butt, and I ran as I pulled my pants up to the car. And I was out of breath, and I was hyperventilating. And my mother said, "What's gotten into you?" I said, "Drive, drive, drive. Let's get out of here. Go, 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 go." And as she drove, I told her what I saw. The horse was no horse. It had the torso, the neck, the head, and 2 arms of a man. This is a true story. Both of these are true stories. Cross my heart, hope not to die. Stay tuned for more true stories by Witch Moon 73. It's a mad world, and there are strange things to be seen. Many should be left unseen.